few houses in astrology that get the reputation for handling some more difficult topics, and because of that, I think that they are largely misunderstood. Today we're talking about one of my favorites, the 8th house. The 8th house in astrology and the 8th house in your birth chart are speaking to, in a lot of ways, the consequences of partnering, right? So the things that we get from relating very closely to other people. So whether that is trauma or gifts, inheritances, caretaking, sex falls into this house. It's the things that come from partnering in some ways. So the things that result from intimate relationships, right? So this can also include shared resources, which can be, the ways that you support another or the ways that you get support from another. So it can be financial support, that can be, like another kind of material support in some way, that can be emotional support, that can be energetic support. It depends on a lot of things, right? It'll depend on the specifications of the 8th house that we're talking about under these circumstances, but all of that falls into the 8th house, right? So this can speak to what we owe to others and what others owe to us. So contracts we form with other people, managing other people's resources, other people who manage our resources, taxes, debts, loans, credit, grants, donations, gifts that we receive from other people, all of that can fall into the 8th house. And along with the more emotional, less literal definition of shared resources, right? So the energy that you share with other people, the ways that you take care of other people, the ways that you think about other people and prioritize other people, and the ways that they do that for you, right? So interdependence and codependence both kind of live in the 8th house, right? It's opposite to the 2nd house, so it's forming this axis of how we care for and provide for ourselves versus how we are cared for and supported by others, or how we care for and support others, right? 2nd house was the first one, the 8th house was the 2nd one. It is a dark house or an unaspected house. So from the 1st house, the 8th house is, the aspect is called an inconjunction, right? And it basically just means that the 1st house cannot witness the 8th house, right? So placements that are here and energies here tend to be things that are also pushed into the darkness by society. This is actually true of all of the dark houses. So 2, 6, 8, and 12. I think particularly with an emphasis on 6, 8, and 12, we see a lot of topics that are not really discussed in polite society. And so these can be everything from taboos and the occult and psychic things and really deep psychological kinds of things, as well as major surgeries and hormones and transformations of all kind, and death can live in the 8th house. And a lot of people say rebirth as well. I think there's an argument to be made that's also the 12th house, but in the more material ways, in the more interpersonal ways, death and rebirth as well as concepts, if that makes sense. So it is, placements here are in conjunction to the 1st house, so you might find that they are hard to access, or they're hard to feel up front and center, that they kind of sneak up on you in some ways, or that it might even feel like other people or the circumstances around you have more control over these placements or transits that are happening to your 8th house. It is a succedent house, right? So we are very much building upon the themes that we set forth in the 7th house, right? It's not just about your partner and the qualities of partnership and the qualities of how you partner and what it means to you. It's now speaking to what happens because we partner, right? How do you carry those themes forward through this succedent house, basically? So you can look to the ruler of your 8th house, its conditions, the house that it's in, the sign that it's in, aspects that it's receiving from other placements, for more information about how to access your 8th house, relate to your 8th house, approach your 8th house. If you have any questions, please let me know. And up next, we're going to talk about the 9th house.